Hey, listen, everybody, welcome to the interview. I'm Peter Catalano, Catalano Consulting and Insurance Services. And as you know, I love meeting great people, especially here in the Houston area, who are making a significant impact on other people's lives. And today I've had the privilege of meeting with Mr. Jeff Newkirk. And I got to tell you, Jeff has enlightened me on areas of business that I think every business owner needs to deal with. I've been in business for 30 years and I see this everywhere. And what I see is lack of planning on the business owner side to achieve the goals that they want. And this is what Jeff really brings to the table: a unique, structured way of helping a business owner truly plan and then take action to achieve that plan. So Jeff, welcome to the interview here today.
Thank you, Peter. Great to be talking with you this morning. Thank you.
More than my pleasure. Listen, this time that we spend together has been a joy for me. And before we,
likewise,
before we get into some of the details here, and we've got 15 minutes again. I try to keep these short and sweet. Tell us a bit about you. You reside here in the Woodlands. What's your history, family?
Yeah, you bet. So I spent about 30 years in the corporate world, mostly in financial management positions. Started my own business in November of 19. Here in the Woodlands, and love it here. I love Texas. My family is here as well. We have 3 kids. My wife and I live actually in Spring, right next to the Woodlands.
Sure. And
and then our kids are older. We have all 3 in college at the same time.
Fantastic. There's some great checks to write there. But wow. Well, listen, Jeff, we've been talking here for a bit about planning, business planning.
Yeah.
And
right.
Jeff, I see this with my clients, and I don't get into it. It's not part of the realm that I provide for clientele. So working with you has been such a joy. Tell us, what do you see out there as far as planning, as far as what business owners do or don't do as it relates to business plans?
Yeah, so it's been my experience that we don't do enough planning. And I think that we can err on the side of not planning enough, but not planning too much. And what I mean by that is I don't want to waste time in creating plans that aren't going to be useful. But if we don't have a plan, then we're sort of counting on guesswork and happenstance for success. And it's all about building a sustainable, successful business that requires a good business model. How are you going to do that? Well, you have to figure out what's going to work, and you got to put it in a plan.
I tell you, and I hear you say this, where my head goes. I've been self-employed all my life, and there's a couple things that come to mind for me. So first of all, let me ask you, look, isn't only startup need a plan? The guys who are doing 10, 15, 20, 50 million a year, why do they need a plan?
Absolutely. Everybody needs a plan. And because business changes, right? Markets change, and you have to be prepared for some of those changes. Some of them you can plan for, some of them might be a surprise, but let's look back at the pandemic, right? Who knew that we were going to have a shutdown in March of 2020? Now, were those plans helpful at that time? If you had a plan, you had to really make some adjustments, right? I'm not going to use the word pivot, but you had to make some adjustments. And the idea is you had something to go to. You had a reference, a plan. So yes, whether you're a startup or whether you've been in business for years and it's 100 million plus, you need to have a plan. And in that plan, you're going to have some financial projections. And the way I look at it is the plan is like a roadmap. You're going to go from point A to point B, and the plan is going to tell you how to get there so you don't get lost. And the financial projections, well, that's the gas in the tank to get to point B. So you got to have enough resources in order to get to where you want to go to, and your financial projections are going to tell you how many resources you have available.
It's interesting. One of the things I see out there is the ego. And I wonder, from your point of view, I'll share with mine real quick. I think one of the reasons people have a hard time planning is the implication that they're going to be told that they're bad and wrong for not following the plan. So their ego kind of gets in the way. Is that something you see as well, or people just?
Yeah, the idea of building a sustainable, successful business requires some humility. And what I mean by that is we're not perfect. We don't have all the answers, and we have to have some mentoring and some guidance. Well, who's going to do that? You have to have your own trusted advisors. And some of those trusted advisors, those are the folks that you're going to go to. They're going to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. So they're going to help you improve, get better. And you got to have that group, whether it's bankers, CPAs, attorneys, business consultant, those are the folks you need in your corner. And it does take some humility in order to say, hey, you know what? I do need some help. And I'm glad that I have this group of trusted advisors. It's like your own personal board of directors.
Sure. My structure, as my clients know, is that I oversee everybody. I'm really good 50,000 feet up and knowing who needs to play where on the field. There's a couple areas where I'm okay on the field, but for the rest of the time, I like to bring in you. And I like to say, let's bring Jeff in so that the client can get that roadmap for the business. Because I do roadmaps personally, because I believe you're in business to live a life that you want to live, but that business has to be able to adjust to the changes. I love the analogy of roadmap. Sometimes you come to a Y in the road. Sometimes you come to a dead end. You have to back up. Sometimes, sometimes you run out of gas in the tank. I mean, it happens, but without your team and without the roadmap in place, where are you going to go?
Yeah. And we don't have all the answers. It's impossible to have all the answers. And you need to have that go-to, to kind of bounce some ideas off of and figure out, okay, I've hit this detour. How am I still going to get to point B? Help me out here. Let's think through some different options. Maybe there's a different market that I need to get to. Maybe there's a different way that I need to build awareness for my product or service. Or maybe my pricing is completely off. Well, let's figure it out.
You bet. So it's a brainstorming. I like to say spaghetti on the wall. We're coming at end.
See what sticks.
Yeah, we're coming at end of year here, and a lot's happening. So much is going on with this world now, and how we're adjusting, personally, and of course in our businesses. Jeff, what would you recommend to somebody today? I mean, what could somebody take from this interview today and implement right now, either with you or independently, right? We want to put value into the community. So what would you say somebody should do right now?
That's a great question, Peter. I would suggest know your current state. Know where you are right now financially. Know where you think you're going to end up at the end of 21, and have a good idea of where you're going to go in 22. So whether you have a plan or not, you've got to know where you are currently. And that's about learning your current state, financially and otherwise.
So I hear that, and I think that, forgive me, because I see that as an initial great first step. But what next then? I mean, hey, I see where I want to go in 2022.
Yeah.
Jeff, what do
How are you going to get there?
Yeah.
How are you going to get there, right?
Yeah. So what do I do?
So then what? Okay, so I know where I am financially. Yeah. I know where I want to go. Well, there's a gap. How am I going to get there? So the answer to that question is, now you've got to figure out who are you targeting in your client or customer base? Who do you have now? And how are you going to get to the current or future state by adding more clients or building some business with current clients? And you got to figure out where can that happen. And that's through some market analysis and some marketing plan. And that's part of the business plan. So you got to know where you are financially. You got to know where you're going to go, and you got to know how to get there by having a marketing plan.
So that's interesting. So marketing plan is not the plan, not the business plan. It's part of it too. So really, I'm hearing you say this is a, kind of a big picture. Take this time at end of year here, slow or not. I'm not sure what who's listening and watching this, but take this time do some analysis, do some evaluation. Where do I want to go? Where am I right now? And then start to write things down. Now, I mean, I know this is a shameless plug for you here, but how do they, how do they go to that next step? Do they call you and say, I mean, because this is kind of,
Absolutely.
I mean,
I talk to clients all the time about developing a plan for their next year, 2022, or whatever their fiscal year may be. And sometimes they don't know their current state, right? So we have to kind of get an idea of where are you currently with your financial outcomes? Is this where you thought? I mean, you might be surprised, but not every business owner knows where they are financially. Not every business owner looks at their P&L, balance sheet, cash flow on a regular basis. Even though we should, and we assume that they may know, they don't. So we have to understand where they are financially currently. And the simplest approach I take to assessing a business, where you are current state, financial component, the marketing and sales component, the resources, that's people and otherwise, what does it take to get your product out there or service out there? And then the operations, which is systems and processes in order to build some efficiency in your business. So that's the simplest way to look at your business comprehensively to understand where we are currently.
God, Jeff, this is great. Now, how would somebody get a hold of you if they want to start having these conversations? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, you bet. You can call me, email, so my phone, and I answer it, 281-475-6032, or email at Newkirk, that's JNEWKIRK at Blanton Advisors, BLANTON advisors.com.
Okay.
And I also have this cool podcast where we talk about current issues, business issues. You can learn a little bit more about me and what I can provide. It's called Understandable Solutions and can be found on any podcast platform.
Fantastic. I'm writing that all down as we go here.
Cool.
I'll certainly
awesome.
let the community know. Now, somebody calls you up, what can they expect right out of the gate? What are you going to do with them? Just real quick.
Right out of the gate, I'm going to try and learn about what is their pain. So typically I get called when there's some pain, and the pain is usually financial, but there's a story behind the outcome. So the financial outcome that's causing the pain is happening because there's something else going on in the business. So first, right out of the gate, I'm going to try and learn about what is their pain and get an understanding of where they think it might be coming from.
Got it. So if the client or somebody feels that there might be some pain, or even if they just maybe don't even know that there's pain here, they may not even have it, but they realize, hey, look, we've got to be able to structure a plan here so that when something occurs, and we know it'll occur, the nature of business, we have the greatest probability of being able to maneuver correctly and adjust accordingly. Jeff, this has been a great short 10-15 minutes with you here today. Thank you for all the time you've been willing to give our people on the interview, and they know how to get a hold of you. So folks, look, if you're ready to move your business to that next level, I think Jeff's the way to go. So Jeff, I thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.
More than my pleasure. We'll look forward to talking to you soon.